Hey everyone, my name's Adrian.
My name's Aaron.
Welcome back to Teach One, the health and wellness podcast that aims to empower you by improving your awareness of your mental, social, and physical being through shared experience. Thank you for choosing to spend your time with us. Thank you for investing in yourself. Subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen and join our community on Facebook and on Instagram at 2teachone. That's TWOTEACHONE. And on our website at www.2teachone.com. And that's www.2teach1.com.
To teach one.
That's right. Today's guest is a nail artist who is currently working on making a career change into the media field. She's here to talk about her experience balancing being a single mother and undergoing cancer treatment. You can reach her at Liz Martinez 3890 on Instagram, or you can send her a message via our website. And that's at www.2teachone.com. Welcome to the podcast, Liz.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Like you said, I'm Liz Martinez, and this is my first guest speaking spot on a podcast. So I'm excited.
Yeah, fantastic.
Nice. Yeah, we're happy to have you.
Yeah.
And we're very honored that it's your first time. It's a very, well, I guess I've never been. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have. I did the radio thing. But by then I'd already been doing this, so it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I had an advantage then, but I can imagine it's a little bit nerve-wracking and, some of those things, but you're a pro at this.
Well, you've been in school.
I got this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
good.
in media school, in front of the camera,
Shoot.
all that. You got this. Huh? You've probably done way harder things.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Like having kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that counts.
That would probably count, I would think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
That's up there.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, and then raising them, right?
Yeah.
Like,
that
Right.
part too.
Because, I think you've, kept one properly fed and alive for over a decade. So it's
I was
that's
just,
an accomplishment.
reminding myself of that the other day. I was like, wow. I mean, he's still here and he's 15, so I guess I'm doing something right.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And the other one's 8, so we're still kicking. I still got him.
He's 15. It's Friday. He's not out there on the town, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. He's, at home rebuilding his computer. Yeah, you're winning.
You're doing
You're doing all right. You're doing
he's
good.
Kind of a homebody for sure. It's my daughter. She's the one that's going to be, she's a social butterfly. She's my mini me, literally. So I'm going to have to watch her. She'll be the one wearing different clothes to school and having a change in her backpack or something.
Yeah.
She's going to be my testy one, but she's awesome. I love her.
Man, kids.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking to myself, I always thought to myself, my first kid is probably going to be a girl. Because our family is just dominated by women. The guys, we really have to watch out for each other.
We have all girls. It's my sisters. There's 4 of us. One passed away 5 years ago, but and then she had 3 girls, and so we thought for sure when I got pregnant that I was going to have a girl. We thought we were cursed, that we weren't going to have any boys. And then I had the first boy, which is my son, so I named him after my dad.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
and then we have 3 more boys. My sisters have boys, so now we're kind of, I guess, even a little bit.
Yeah. And so you've got all these things going on, and you just recently went into doing media.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you're in media school currently.
Yep. I started school in October for media at the Colorado Media and Broadcasting School, which is in Belmar, and I absolutely love it. I do nails. I've been doing nails for about 7 years. I had a salon. I sold that. I've done shows, fashion shows. I did New York Fashion Week 2 times.
Cool.
And I love the creativity. I love doing nails still, but there was just something more calling me. So, that's why I decided to take that jump.
Yeah, shout out to the people at Colorado Media School because they were super welcoming to us. I went to talk to them because obviously, we're in the media space and we want to reach out to other people that are interested in what we're doing and partner up with them and, get some stuff done. And
they're so awesome over there. Everybody is the vibe is great over there. The attitude, the positivity, the instructors, everything. It's awesome.
Yeah, they were really, you've spoken really highly of them, and, they were great to us as well.
Yeah.
So,
good.
Shout out to them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, especially, what was that guy's name? Brandon?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, the Wiz. Man,
Yeah.
if he hears this, man, please tell him to.
I will.
Tell him we gave him a shout out,
I
man.
will.
Tell him we're super impressed.
Yeah, he
I
knows
will.
his stuff. You can tell.
Yeah, he does.
He's really excited about his work, and I love meeting people like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always exciting to meet people who are excited about what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
they want to
he's-
share that with you.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to finish out and see where it goes.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, to add on to that, when we started talking about you coming on to do this episode, I was like, man, I looked at your Instagram and you had contacted us because we came and did a talk over at this school, and you said hey, I'm interested in what you guys are doing. Let's talk and see if we can do something together. And I was super excited about that. But when I started looking at your Instagram and stuff, I was like, wow, there's something else going on here. And she's very, very, I wouldn't say impressive, just so resilient, you're a fighter, and
Yeah.
you just keep positive, regardless of what's going on. And I just really liked that. And I wanted to, find out a little bit more about what's going on, in your life. So,
Well, thank you. Yeah, positivity is definitely something that I try to live by. I try to take the good out of any situation. It's not always like that. We all have our days.
right.
After doing nails for New York Fashion Week in this past February, I came back and had a appointment with the dermatologist to get a mole removed, and when I got it removed, it got biopsied, and it came back positive for melanoma. And then right there, kind of my whole world changed, and I wasn't as positive. I'm not always been a positive person. I think that that's something that I had to work on because there was just a lot of things that had happened early on in life that kind of made me angry at the world. And then I realized it. And that's where I slowly started making that change, and getting cancer kind of put me in a state of, obviously a roller coaster of emotions. Depression was definitely one of them. So I kind of was down for a little bit. I found out I had to have surgery to get the melanoma removed. So I think in that time I was having a hard time being positive for sure. I was down. And then after surgery, I started to kind of lift myself up a little bit, or actually right before surgery, I started to lift myself up a little bit. And that's when I decided to even put it on my social media. No one even knew what I was, except for my close family and stuff, what was going on. And I figured at that point, actually the weekend before surgery, that I was just going to, put it out there and spread the word and try to touch people and let people know, to get their moles checked or to be wearing sunscreen. And so from that point on, I've kind of, got myself back, kind of slapped myself in the face and, get it together and keep pushing and stay positive. And, that's something I've always tried to live by after I finally got to that point. So now I'm here. Getting the word out.
So, melanoma, just for those people who don't know what it is, right? Give us an idea of what that is and, anything else we need to know.
So melanoma is skin cancer. There are different forms that it can come in. It can come with moles. It can come from tanning beds. And I have a lot of moles and a lot of beauty marks. And it's probably something that I should have been getting checked out a lot earlier on. I think that a lot of people don't realize how important it is because, you look at yourself every day, you've got your freckles, your moles. It's not, a lot of people don't pay attention to if they change in size, diameter, color. And those are all things that you have to pay attention to because it causes skin cancer. And I think I kind of had a mixture of all three. I used the tanning bed since I was in high school. I was in the sun a lot without sunscreen a lot of times. And, you know, I kind of had a little bit of everything. So that's what happened. I ended up getting skin cancer. They removed the skin cancer, and then they took lymph nodes out of my armpit to test those for cancer, and those came back positive. So that's still a form. So now I'm in stage 3 melanoma, even though they got all of the actual skin cancer from where it was.
Right.
On my left side, it traveled to my lymph nodes. So it's still skin cancer, but it's, you know, now we're in just kind of another stage of it. So, with that being said, then we had to take the steps necessary to start treatment and check out options, which consisted of a lot of testing, blood work, a lot of doctor's appointments. They had to test my lymph nodes to see if I had this certain gene, which is called the BRAF gene. And I do have that, and it's a gene that causes the cancer to spread quicker. But because I had that, I had the option of chemo infusions or chemo pills, which is a newer form of chemo. So it's still kind of being checked out, watched. It's a study, basically, you know, and it's been used for a while, but it's still in that process of being, you know, a completed FDA full-on approved chemo treatment.
Right.
So, so that's what I'm doing now. I'm on chemo pills, and it's a year long. I started in June, and the journey has been interesting. It definitely is. It flipped my world around a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, when I look at you, I do not see any sign of that. I mean, you know, you're so bright-eyed, you know, you look healthy. You look really, you know, you look great, you know, and people, I guess, expect something, right? You know, and it's just like how we talk about, you know, recovery and, you know, all these different things. People go off of what they see in movies, unless you have someone really close to you and you see what that could be like, you have expectations. And so, yeah, it's so interesting. I'm sitting across from you. Even when I was looking at your Instagram, I'm like, wait, what's going on? Because I guess I had some kind of idea, like if you're undergoing all this treatment, like, you know, how you're now bedridden and, you know, all of these things. And so, you know, just having said that, what has your experience been, you know, with, you know, undergoing that treatment?
So I started in June 3rd, and it started with, I started on the full dose, which consisted of 4 pills in the morning and 8 pills at night. And within a week and a half, I was super, super sick. I was bedridden pretty much. I got really sick in the 3rd week. It was actually my 35th birthday. It was that whole week. I couldn't move. It felt like the flu times 100, like the body aches and the joint pain. And I couldn't sleep because anywhere I moved, I mean, it was like in my hips. It was all over. It was so painful. I ended up having to go in, and they had to give me, I was like lethargic. I couldn't even, it was bad. So then they lowered my dose. And during that time, it's, you know, a little bit of that depression hits again. I can't, you know, my son had to stay with my sisters. My daughter was with her dad. I stayed with a friend basically to not let the kids kind of see me like that, you know? And so, but with that, you kind of think, you know, it's not like you're worthless but you're helpless, you know, there's nothing that you can do. And then my daughter, you know, came over, and she was there for a couple days when I was really sick, and I felt like crap because I couldn't even get up and, you know, make her food, and someone else had to like take care of her for me. And with that, you know, I couldn't work. I pretty much haven't worked much since I got the cancer. Just been starting to get back into things, within the past 3 or 4 months. But throughout the summer, we lowered my dose, and then I started to do a little bit better, but I still I was so tired, and I had more bad days than good, like I said, up until about 3 or 4 months ago. And that was, there's nothing that you can really do. So I was very emotional. I cried a lot, and I'm such a go, go, go person. And I'm a go-getter. I'm a hustler. I'm a mother. And I literally, it put me on my ass. I couldn't do anything. There was and then I felt, there was times where there was, events going on or something important, and I would want to go, and I'd be like, okay, I can do it. I can get through the day. And then, the end, it's halfway through the day, and I'm like, sorry, I can't, and
yeah.
So I just feel like I missed out on a lot, but it was also good because I thought about a lot. I thought about life a lot. I thought about my kids. I thought about what I want to do, which is why, I took that jump in the media and broadcasting school. And so I guess, like I said, I try to take the good out of it all, but it's definitely a struggle. And I think that's the one thing, you don't see what happens behind closed doors, and it's really easy to judge a book by its cover, and it's not always, rainbows and sunshine.
Don't forget unicorns.
Oh, yeah. No,
how could I? Of course, that's like my daughter's favorite thing. Unicorns. I can't forget that.
I do wish that unicorns actually existed. I know it's a little bit off topic, but wouldn't that be really cool?
Yes, I think that would be awesome. I would definitely have one.
Yeah, but I have this whole theory, right? So we did this, everyone talks about mermaids, and then I found out that mermaids were horrible, hideous creatures, right? In actuality, you don't know the story?
I saw something on this.
They even actually, they alluded to it. They show this scene in one of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies where these mermaids would lure, the men, the sailors
the sirens.
in.
Yeah, the sirens.
Exactly. And so, what about unicorns? Maybe they're not these, glittery things. Maybe maybe they used to just go roam the lands, impaling animals and men alike.
We'll never know. Right? Yeah. We'll never know.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's completely off topic though. No, but that's an inspiring story, because it is like Adrian said. We would not, had you not told me that, I never would have guessed that. But we each have some experience with close family members who've had cancer. And my mother, different kind of cancer, but she also had to do chemotherapy. Of course, it was the infusions. And so we spent so much time going back and forth to doctor's offices. Like, I had to quit my job, and she, they finally got the dose worked out to where she didn't feel awful. But at the beginning, it's hard.
It is. It is. And the side effects, it's the things that people, don't talk about. I had to go to the bathroom, I don't know how many times, and I didn't throw up as much, but I had to go to the bathroom. My stomach, it couldn't handle all of that, and so it would be I would try to do something, and I'm like, well, I promise I was going to come over and visit, but
yeah, you don't want to,
I can't get out of the bathroom, and that's that's honesty, you can't, between that and, I got rashes really bad all over my legs and my arms and my chest. And, since they took the lymph nodes out of the left side, that causes the left side, I have to be even more careful. I went to the pool at the end of the summer. I actually had a good day, and it was the first day that I was able to go be with all the kids and my sister, and went to the pool. Of course, I sat in the shade, and I had my big hat. I bought a bunch of hats. And I opened the door to go into the community center, and it had barely cut my left foot, and it popped up and looked like a golf ball was in my foot. And it was just a scratch. it happened within seconds. Like even the people that were behind the desk, they were like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Like it was, and it freaked me out. And I'm at that point, it's like, "Oh my God, what do I do?" You know, I'm like calling my nurse, I'm calling my doctor, and freaking out because I had never seen anything like that happen. So, you know, it's just little things. I mean, I had something for every little side effect. Take this for your stomach and take this for your rashes, or now we're sending this, and there's a cream, and then the cream made it worse. I was allergic to the cream, and it's like, you know, and those are all the little things that, you know, I have red bumps all over my legs right now, but it's like, you know, and now I'm just taking the medicine. I'm not taking any more of the whatever stuff they're giving or they want me to take for the side effects. So I'm just like, you know, I get breakouts, I get this, and now I'm just kind of in a point where it is what it is. Like I'm going to be however I'm going to be, you know, and I mean, I have to take care of myself, and it's, cancer is a shitty thing, you know, it's a terrible thing, but it's almost like it was kind of a blessing in disguise for me, because it just really, it opened my eyes. It was like a reality check, you know, it humbled me back to where, not that I've always been a humble person, but it definitely humbles you. You know, it's really crazy. Like even my skin, like the pigmentation, just from tanning and from being out in the sun and then just not doing any of that, like my skin, like the color and like it just seemed like my skin was getting rid of all of that also. And I could see that change. And it's just, you know, you don't feel very attractive when that happens, and your skin color is changing, and it's insane, but it definitely humbles you and it makes you look at things, you know, or hopefully anybody that is going through that, you know, can try to see the good or be humbled by the situation, you know, and take something from that instead of just being so down on it. 'Cause it's really easy to just get mad and, oh, well, I look at how I look, and it's really easy to do that and fall out of that somewhat positive or trying to keep a positive attitude realm, you know?
Sure. Yeah. Well, and like you said earlier, like was that when you had changed, like, because you said you used to be somewhat more of an angry person when we were talking. Was that the catalyst, or had that happened before this?
That had happened before. When I was like in my 20s, early 20s, when I was, you know, 19, 20, 21, I was angry about a lot of things, and I got into a lot of fights, and I partied a lot, and I coped with drugs and alcohol, and it just made me an angry person. So that's something I had to change also. You know, I had to kind of, and it's been a process, and it's still a process. I'll continue to work on myself. Every year I try to give myself one specific thing that I'm going to work on. And it's kind of like a New Year's resolution, but it doesn't come necessarily when New Year's is. It's like, this is something that needs to start being worked on. And then you just add that to the list.
Yeah. And I asked that question because I had a similar situation. Like there was a time in my life, like people who know me now have no idea, right, how I used to be.
Right.
And they're like, no, you're so nice and you're polite. And I'm like, now, but there was a time in my 20s, I was not a nice person.
I was not. And I didn't want to let anybody in. I wasn't open. So then I was just, came off as a, you know, like a stuck up, you know, and it's just, and now I'm, you know, I try to, anybody I encounter, I try to smile and say, you know, thank you, or have a good day, and it's just those tiny things can change an entire outlook on everything, you know, and it's just, even for someone else, like, you know, the person working at the gas station, you can tell they're hating their job and everything else going in on it, and it takes 2 seconds to take an extra, you know what, have a good day, or just smile, or and it really does make a difference. And I think in my process of changing that, I've gotten a lot back from it. You know, I feel like I attract the same kind of people now, you know, that are positive and trying to be happy. And I need to just continue to do that and surround myself with people that are in that same mindset. And if you're not, I'm sorry, but I gotta keep going.
Good for you.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic that you've been able to keep that attitude even with the significant challenges that you're facing currently. Yeah, because you radiate that positive, fun energy, which is great, right?
Yeah.
And I totally agree, because I think that, while cancer is significantly more, I would say, dramatic, than dealing with, myself having to deal with recovery, right? The battle with addiction. But I think, just facing that moment where you're like, this could go one or two ways, right? I could hate hate what's going on, or just accept the reality of this situation and grow.
Yeah. I mean, I think addiction, it's not the same battle, but the struggle is real.
The struggle is real.
It's in both of those.
Yeah.
And I think, cause I've done the sober thing and quit everything, and it can mentally, I was probably in the same mindset when I had quit everything, that I kind of had that same depression and mindset going on when I was going through when I was finding things out, or not knowing what was going to be happening next. Those kind of it kind of was the same feeling, you don't know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, definitely a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this positive mindset that you're in, it obviously has such a big role to play in your recovery also, right?
Yeah.
Because, if you just completely give up and decide to, just let depression take over and all other negative things, right?
Which is so easy
to
do.
The body follows, Yeah. And I've heard plenty of stories of, so my Aunt Emma, one of her friends in Spain, this guy's name's Las. So he rides, man, he's just one of those dudes, just likes his road bike, okay, just living life, in Europe, in Spain, just, doing his thing, living his best life. And so then at some point they diagnosed him with some kind of cancer, and they're like, okay, cool. So we're going to start you on this, and this. And he was just like, nah, I'm good, and he literally just decided to take a lifestyle approach where he changed some things that he was doing, continued, double down on all of the positive and uplifting things in his life. And he's still walking the earth today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously not everyone, can take that route, depending on when your cancer is, discovered, it can be super rough, right? Just depends on where you're at. But that's what he did, and he's living, his best life to this day. And so I definitely think, just listening to you, being around you, I can't see how that hasn't, played a role.
Sure.
Yeah, that definitely, I don't know. I guess I've just become a lot more open-minded and humble, and I think it just takes too much energy to be negative and down. And
right.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not bubbly and happy every second of the day. I'm just like everybody else, and I have my moments, and there's still some days where I'm just, I don't want to give up, but I definitely don't know if I can handle everything. And then you have to find that thing for yourself, that, that moment or a few moments, and kind of get yourself together. I always tell myself, get your life together. It's going to be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's, that's a struggle too sometimes.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And so speaking of struggles, right? So you've talked about how you got in, you dealt with addiction, and, that was a journey of its own. And then, here comes your diagnosis, and you don't want to take these meds because they're giving you all these really, really harsh symptoms, right? Mm-hmm. And so you decided to go the natural way, the natural path, right? To do the natural path thing. So
before I started treatment, I had already been a pretty natural, like my kids, we do home remedies, or I give them like elderberry, or I give them, certain types of vitamins that are all natural. And I've always done that for myself. I think that's maybe what helped me be able to even be at this point where I am right now with the treatment. and being okay and feeling okay. But yeah, at first I was taking all these other little things for the side effects, and prednisone is one of the main things, which is a steroid. And then, your body can become reliant on it. And I decided to just quit taking everything for the side effects. So I just take my medicine now. And, it's been okay so far. It's a newer, I just quit. I haven't been taking everything. The last thing I quit taking was the prednisone, and I haven't taken that now for like 3 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks. I have noticed that my appetite has gone completely downhill because the steroid does help you stay hungry. So that's the one thing that I'm kind of battling with right now. But for the most part, everything's going okay. You know, I got a little rash on my legs, but it's cold and I can cover that up.
Right.
So I'm not worried about it.
And when it comes to the hunger, the egg extravaganza that's in the future should help with that just a little bit.
Yeah. Just get all those delicious calories in.
Yeah.
Eggs and butter and all kinds. Everything you can think of is in the extravaganza.
Everything. It's extravagant.
It's
I mean,
extravagant.
they looked at it and they're like, what else should we call it?
That might be too much for me, but you know, I can do some eggs and some things.
What's cool about the diner is they got like all kinds of stuff. So whatever, like you want some meatloaf, they got it. You want some chicken tortilla soup, they got it.
I lived in Jersey for a few months, and that is the one thing that I miss about Jersey is there's like good diners on like every other street, and it's all, even you order like to go takeout or delivery, and it's like amazing Italian, like I miss that. But they didn't have no Mexican restaurants in Green Chili, so I was like, I gotta go.
Yeah, gotta get back out west.
This isn't gonna work for me.
I'm going to digress here in a sec, but in Jersey, there's a part of town called the Ironbound.
Okay.
And that's where, like, literally, it's almost like an invisible wall. As soon as you cross over from Newark, okay? Like, when you're in Newark, as soon as you cross over.
Yeah, I was in Woodbridge.
Okay. So there's this part of town over by where they have, like, I think they just hosted, I forget what, it's like the arena where they host, like, you know, all these, like, they just had the MTVs there this year and all this. But as soon as, not here, but as soon as you cross over, right, over where the bus and the train station, train station is, it's called the Ironbound. And I was there, and we went to this place and had an amazing, like, that's where all the Latino folks, Mexican folks, everyone is over there. Man, there's some good food over there.
Really?
So next time you go back to Jersey, hit the Ironbound.
Probably won't go back there unless I have to.
Yeah. No one's crazy about Jersey.
I met some pretty cool people when I was there, though. I worked at a restaurant called Cheeseburger in Paradise, and I met some really cool people there.
Cheeseburger in Paradise. That sounds great.
I know,
It was
right?
so good.
Great
I want to
name.
eat that.
Yeah,
I think they closed a bunch of them. What's his name? Buffett, Jimmy Buffett owns them.
Really?
Yeah. Is he the one that does the song?
Margaritaville?
Yes. Yeah.
Margaritaville, cheeseburger in paradise. It sounds like there's a theme going on here. So let's digress a little bit, right? So now you're not taking any of that stuff, right? But you have to manage symptoms somehow, right? So I take CBD. Is that something that, you know,
I participate very much in CBD.
Yeah, that stuff is amazing. Actually, they've done studies and they're finding out now that most of the best, you know, benefits of, you know, marijuana as a whole are in CBD, and that, you know, the THC, you know, just comes along for the psychoactive, you know, the fun, you know.
That's interesting.
part
I mean,
of it.
the THC part, I use like a pen that has CBD and THC, and there's actually, like, if you get into the terpenes and really specific type things, I kind of look more for that and look for things that are going to be, you know, not an appetite suppressant and things like that. So, or even like a sativa like I only will mess with sativa because I still, I get tired and I have my moments where I'm just like, so that helps. I mean, that's pretty much everything else I use other than
it's
just
really
my medicine.
Yeah. And that's a great way to manage so many different anti-inflammatory. It boosts.
Yeah,
I've heard. I mean, so
It's
many
amazing.
things.
and those are the things I look for when I'm purchasing anything like that.
Yeah, I'm using a full spectrum CBD oil right now. That it's actually it's 500 milligrams. So that means, and most companies don't make that specific dosage. But for whatever reason, it just kind of like melatonin, they're thinking, or some of the people, I know someone who's in that business, right? And they were using that 500 milligrams. And they were like, you know what? I feel like it's the melatonin thing where there's like a sweet spot milligram, like dosage wise, where it just feels like it's really, really effective.
Right.
And so I know what you're talking. The terpene thing,
That's
that
interesting,
threw me off because the taste, right?
Yeah.
I'm in recovery, so when I tasted it, I was like, I kind of freaked out at first. I was like, oh my God, I have weed in my mouth. I really was. I had a moment.
Because it really is similar. And now they have those, they're like hemp, like, I mean, it looks like a joint, but it's all hemp. Like it's all hemp.
Right. It's just,
and you can smoke it. And it really, I mean, it kind of mellows you out and gets it's crazy, but it is very similar and it smells really similar. So I could see how you would be freaking out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I know I was doing some research too, because I haven't jumped on the CBD bandwagon for that specific reason, right? Because every time I think about it, my brain goes to a different place and I'm like, not yet, not ready.
Yeah.
And, but I've done some research and like you were talking about the terpenes, like the CBD isn't the only one. So they're like this one company that I was looking at, they do the CBD oil, but they also do like all the other stuff that's in there that doesn't get you high, but is in like if you were to smoke a joint, you would be getting these other, like there's other terpenes, I think is the term, and people have had some very beneficial, positive things from that too. I mean, and when you think about it, this is a drug that people have been using effectively to treat pain and other things for like 1,000 years. We know how safe it is.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then, in the high part, that is something that if you think back in the day, it's become so much more refined. Like, we've gotten really good at growing it, and they can increase the THC levels to like in their 20s. But if you were to just find it naturally, when you would smoke it, sure, you would get somewhat of that psychoactive effect. But we're talking much lower percentages of THC in the natural,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're the ones who did that, man. We're like, let's see how far we can take this.
Right,
and now, currently, I remember when I first moved back to Denver, there were like the whole medical marijuana thing had just gotten here, right? And so the quality of weed in the Denver metro area had gone up like crazy, right? And so I'm riding down the street with one of my buddies and we're smoking this joint. And this was obviously before I got sober, right? I had just gotten back before I went into rehab. And so we're riding down the street and we're smoking this joint and I'm like 3 hits in, I'm like, what is in this, man? Like, what's the point? Like, I need to go home right now. Whatever we're doing. Like, dude, this is crazy,
I started working at a dispensary when all of that was happening. And it was, and I didn't smoke then. So I would be getting all this free this and free that. But I get migraines really bad. And I had a migraine one day at work and they're like, you smoke this, like it'll help. And it helped, but it was strong. I remember how strong. Now it's kind of like, okay, well, it's strong, but it's not like when at first it was so, my gosh, this is not swag. No oregano here.
Right.
Well, like growing up in Texas when I did in the 90s, like we didn't know swag existed, right? Because that was just what weed was, right? You had to pick the stems on, and there was like seeds. A lot of it was bricked, but it was just weed. Like that's what it was. Yeah. And then I'll never forget because I guess Florida was a little bit more advanced than Texas at the time. And I had a friend who went to Florida and he's like, yeah, the weed's different. And I'm like, weed's weed. I'm cool, whatever. And so I go visit him in college, and I smoke a little bit. And I don't know, they were like, Aaron. And I'm like, yeah, what's going on? And they're like, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, why? Like, 'cause you've been like staring at the TV for an hour now. And I'm like, an hour? I just did that. They're like, no, that was like an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Lost time.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm fine.
I was just like really into what was on TV. It was like, fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, and the same thing happened when I got here. I don't know if it was a combination of the altitude, because that's why I came
Oh
here.
yeah, for sure.
You
Altitude
know,
plays,
because
yeah.
I was trying to fix my alcoholism with weed. I'm like, if I could just stay stoned 24/7, I won't have to drink. Where can I do that at, Colorado? All right, so let's.
So I packed up and I moved.
Yeah, exactly. Like literally, you know, I'm driving from across Texas and through New Mexico with my U-Haul. So I get here and I start to smoke, and I literally like pass out. I'm in the kitchen at my friend's house, and I'm like, I'm going down, and I didn't like hit the floor, pass out, but it was pretty intense.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
the quality of the weed, and then they've changed the weed too. So now there's like weed derivative that people smoke with the blow torches and stuff. I mean,
that's Anyway,
we've taken a turn.
Short,
They've increased the potency drastically, and I think
it's become something else.
And originally, if you were to find this in the 1700s, it wouldn't have been like that. And I think that's the advantage, or that's when it was a medicine that people used all the time.
Yeah. I think it's definitely, it helps a lot of different things. When I worked in the dispensary, also there was people that were, you know, coming to Colorado because they had cancer and they had, or their child, or, you know, their teenager. And I mean, of course, then I didn't realize what was going to be happening, but it was just so nice to be able to help them. You know, they would even come back like at the end of the weekend or a couple days later and say, thank you so much. You know, that my son ate for, you know, all night and snacked, and he hasn't eaten like that in, you know, weeks. And so it's definitely beneficial. I also think that it's very beneficial in getting, a lot of people that use, opiates and things like that. I saw a lot of people coming off of those and turning to cannabis, which was amazing because, I'm not a big fan of pills at all.
No, and you know, in harm reduction, it's one of the strategies that people promote, and I'm a fan of. Right, so you know, if you have to move to something, right, and anything is sort of better than hardcore opiate use, whether it be pills or needles. Like that stuff is very, very bad for you. And even when you need it, right? So even when you have a legitimate reason to take it, it gets people so hooked. I can't tell you how many people I've discussed that, hey, you know, I used to ride motocross, or I used to be a skateboarder, or I used to do this, and then I got injured, and then my doctor gave me these pills, and now it's 3 years later, and I'm buying, you know, heroin off the street, and I don't have a place to live, and all they did was get injured, you know? And I totally agree. I think cannabis is a much better pain relieving solution than opiates.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah. My older sister had MS, and they, you know, they gave her all these pills, and eventually she did get addicted to them.
Yeah.
She took her life with pills. So, and she battled with MS and a lot of, you know, it definitely, the pill thing, I hate it.
Yeah. It's super bad for you.
Yeah.
Bad news. And then again, it's one of those things where man has taken something that probably was much more effective in its natural form, right?
They're making so much money.
Yeah. And then and the same companies are now selling the cure. So kind of interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother topic.
Yes, it is. That's a whole other podcast.
So you're managing, you know, your symptoms, using CBD. Is there anything else you've brought into the fold to, you know, help as far as, maintenance goes?
I mean, my sister bought this, it's like a salve almost. And, she bought it. They went to New Mexico. I don't even know what it's called. It's like some salve. And that's probably the only other thing I've really used. Okay. And it's an all natural thing as well. for the rashes and stuff, because the CBD stuff is great, but with anything like topical that you're putting on, like with rashes, if they're like scratched or like not like an open wound, but if they're like, you don't really want to put that on with certain CBD lotions and things like that. So really, and I use coconut oil. I use coconut oil for like everything.
I'm a huge proponent. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
I use coconut oil a lot. That's so and then I know it's not gonna, I mean, I could eat it. I could brush my teeth with it. So I'm not worried about it. So I'll just I use coconut oil for like everything. Like I always have it in my bag with me and it's in the car. And
Cool.
We can create like a little club, man.
Yeah. I know some like really good lotions that you can get at natural grocers.
Oh, good. Yeah. I love natural grocers.
Yeah. And then there's also this aloe stuff. You've tried it.
Mm-hmm.
I got it at the fair for Colfax Marathon. You know, like if you're in the sign up for the marathon, you go and you pick up your packet and you go through this little like maze of vendors. And this one guy, he just called me over and I just go check it out. I'm not going to buy this stuff, right? And then he goes, just try it. And I put some on. And I was like, I'll take some. And now I wish I had bought like the full deal, because he's like, I'll give you 4 of these for $120. And I was like, I don't know. He goes, I'll give you this one and this one for $45. And I'm like, I'll take it. And now I use it all the time because it's just great. It's
Really?
Like, yeah.
It's really interesting. It's
Where do you
something
get that
completely new.
I'll get you the
information.
We'll get
Okay.
you the information.
Cool.
You know, I do have a question though. Have you ever thought about any alternative treatments? And I'm thinking specifically of like Reiki therapy. Have you heard of that? Or
I
are you familiar with
haven't.
it?
No, I haven't. I actually just had a friend talking to me about this too. She's like, that I wonder, there's got to be some other things. And I'm sure there are. I looked at a few things. I mainly looked at the chemo infusion versus the chemo pill type stuff when I first started.
Yeah.
And I just know that this pill, it kills that gene that I have completely. And so that's the one thing that kind of kept me not really looking further, because I was so worried about it. But now I'm like, well, we actually just talked about it last night, my girl and I. So I was thinking about kind of getting on this weekend and looking at some stuff. But what is it that you're talking about?
Well, so, we have a friend that we work with whose husband also, he had cancer. And he did the traditional route. Like he didn't, not do any of that. But he also supplemented it with she's a Reiki therapy practitioner. She's gotten certifications in it. And it's really interesting. So the idea is that, we see the body as this, right? But they can actually even measure the electro impulses from your heart up to like 15 feet away. So that you can literally like change you can feel it. Like when somebody's energy, we talk about how somebody's energy, it's a real thing. And how that is not just something that we think is real, it's actually existence. So that what is you sort of in an energy level radiates out of your body. Like you hear people talk about auras and things like that.
I'm all about that.
Yeah. And so what this it was actually developed, in Japan, and I want to say like the 1920s is when it sort of started. And it's just a form of energy healing. So, for instance, I just went last Friday, and you sit down, you kind of lay down, and then she does like work with her hands, and you can actually feel it. Like it's very interesting. Like her hands will get really hot. And then like something was going on with my head. Like it was so interesting because I told her I had my eyes closed and I could just see like purple, and it was really interesting. And the first time that I went, Adrian and I both tried it, and we had a deep sense of relaxation. This time I was energized, and it was really interesting because like I was thinking of memories that I hadn't thought of. I had like stuff I'd totally forgotten about. And then certain parts of me felt better, right? And there's some stories, like you could look into it, where some amazing things have happened. Now, I haven't personally experienced anything that I would classify as like miraculous, but I definitely noticed a difference.
See,
and it's definitely a form of healing.
That is interesting.
Yeah. And I can give you the information to our friend, and then, you should look at it on your own.
How do you spell that?
I believe you spell Reiki as Reikki.
Okay.
We could probably look that up. But I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, it's fascinating. And I was just watching a show on it, and this gentleman who is pretty much a polymath, he's like started companies, and he's directly responsible, because it used to be, it cost you like 10 grand to just study to be a Reiki master. And he had made some money, and this is in the 80s, and he made it his mission to lower the cost of what it took to become proficient in Reiki. And he kind of regrets it. Like he talks about it, it's a double-edged sword in the sense that, yes, it's a lot more available now, but you also find a lot more people that are, making money and not really doing anything. Mm-hmm. But he personally, he's like, his mother had cancer, and he was trying to find alternative ways to help. And this is what he ended up trying out, and he experienced some amazing things the first time that he did it. And he said it was fascinating because he was never able, he's like, people were better at certain things. He's like, I was never able to really help my mother with her cancer, but I was able to help other people with different things. Mm-hmm. And then he was able to go and teach it so that it brought the cost down so that other people could learn.
Cool.
So it's like really, and there's other stuff. There's other types of energy healing. We have a friend, and I won't talk too much longer, but it's just fascinating because I started talking to her about this, and she was like, yeah, I went to this retreat, and she had this shoulder pain that would not go away. She went to the doctors. She didn't know what it was. They were going to have to fuse something and do some surgery. She couldn't raise her arm up. And she decided to try this, and she went, and this lady was doing the energy work and was like, there's something you need to let go of. She goes, can I put, it's such a funny story. She said, can I put my hands in your mouth? And my friend's like, I guess so. I'm here. Let's go all the way. And so the lady put on gloves, and put your hands in her mouth, and she's holding her and making weird noises. And then she was like, all of a sudden, even though we were in this small room by ourselves, there was a pop that sounded like it was really far away. And then she was like, and the pain was gone.
That's so crazy.
Just
I have a friend that just told me that she went to a retreat, and she was doing, it was kind of similar, and they were doing some kind of exercise type thing. And the lady's like, you need to let go, and you need, and she did some weird stuff. And she's like, I saw this dragon come out, and it was like this, and she's like, and then after that I was fine, whatever I was holding on to from whatever,
yeah,
I was great. So I think after treatment and when I'm done, I really want to go do something cool like that, just for myself, just find myself, get some time, do something cool in Costa Rica or somewhere awesome like that. Yeah.
And you might even try this Reiki person that's local.
Yeah.
Right? That could help. You should check it out.
I would love to look into that.
But yeah, I would love to go on one of those retreats. Yeah. I've read some amazing things that happen.
I know. Me too.
Yeah. Okay. So we're all going to go do that. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
You down, Adrian? What's up?
I was just listening, and I was thinking to myself, do I want to go to a retreat? I've thought about it, different types. Not necessarily that kind of retreats where you completely unplug, and they have these activities and stuff. So I mean,
that's what she went. She did that. That's what it was for her. They did all these different things, and they were, but they're just kind of really out of the norm, which is obviously it's a process and it works however it works, but it definitely worked for her. And a lot of people I've talked to, they're life changing when they come back.
Yeah. Yeah. I read, the first time I became interested in it is, are you familiar with Michael Crichton?
I think I've heard the name.
So he was really famous in the 90s, but he wrote Jurassic Park, for instance, right?
Okay.
He wrote Sphere, he wrote Congo, Timeline, and all these were very popular books that became movies. And so he he like took off, and he had went to Harvard Medical School and actually got a degree in medicine, but never became a medical doctor because he got famous for writing this book called The Andromeda Strain, which became like this semi-hit movie in like the mid '80s, right? Mm-hmm. So long story short, he moves out to California in like the late '80s or mid '80s, and he begins to experiment. This is a guy trained in Harvard Medical School. He's a scientist, you know, but he begins to experiment with these different like therapies, going to this retreat and energy work and stuff like that. And it really got me fascinated because here's a guy who was just not prone to fanciful thinking, right? You don't get into Harvard Medical School by telling them, hey, you know, I'm into la la, and you know, no, I mean, it's very serious. And he experienced this with his own, you know, life, and then wrote about it in a semi-autobiographical book called Travels. Mm-hmm. And I just became fascinated by it, you know, and it's always just something that I've wanted to check out more because I just think there's more going on here than meets the eye.
Oh, I agree.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think when we're faced with these life challenges like cancer or addiction or something where you're just sort of forced to look at your life and like reevaluate, can be the perfect opportunity for growth into new areas.
Oh,
and,
definitely.
you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome how positive and how open-minded you are about all this.
Thank you.
And I think that it's, I hope that there are people, at least one, right, to teach one
Yes.
person who can hear this
Yes.
and gain some strength from it.
Yes. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you feel? So obviously you've done all these things to really get to a place where, you know, you're positive and, you know, you're maintaining a fulfilled and, you know, happy life as much as possible, right? When it comes to like just pushing on and, you know, really, you know, sticking it out and everything, like what are some of the things you do, you know, to just kind of hang in there? Or if someone's listening to this, right, like what would you say has worked for you?
My best friends have really laughing, being around people that and the thing is you don't necessarily just want to be around people. So it's, you know, like when I feel like I'm really getting into a state of mind where it's not, I call my friends, my best friends, and we laugh, or I watch something funny, or a lot of times I get on YouTube and I look up motivating podcasts. That's a huge thing for me, whether it be motivation for, I've watched a lot of addiction, motivating type podcasts and anything that's positive or motivating is something I'll click on. And in that moment when I need to keep pushing and I'm kind of given up or just tired, I have to listen to something that's motivating. Like I have to get myself back up, and that's probably the way that I do it. Or sometimes I just take a minute and I pray. You know, I just pray on it. I do that a lot. I pray on it a lot. And I feel like with that, I'm like, okay, after I'm done praying, then I'm like, okay, now we need to get our life together and keep on going.
Right. Yeah, it definitely helps to have something, someone to relinquish some of that too. And that's what they, you know, some people have a problem with, you know, the 12 steps, the AA community, because they feel like it's so heavy on the God, you know, aspect. But really, I just see it as, you know, they're saying, listen, just pick something, the universe, Mother Nature, I don't know, whatever it is you pick something to be able to relinquish, you know, that control to, you know, because I feel like that's where we get stuck. When there's so much pressure, you know, there's all these things going on and you can't control absolutely everything, you know, doing what you did, you know, just take a moment, pray, release.
I like to go, like, I'll take a drive. And by the time you get, you know, 2 miles, you probably have seen somebody or seen a situation that's, it could always be worse. It could be a lot worse, that's, you know, true. Take a drive downtown, like, and that's another thing that I have to remind myself, and I tell myself a lot, is it could be worse. And anybody that knows me close knows that phrase comes out of my mouth a lot, regardless the situation. Even for other people, it could always be worse. There's just, I'm blessed and I'm lucky and that I am able to be here in the form and place that I am. And, it can always be worse. There's someone going through something a lot worse. And sometimes I need to remind myself of that so that I know that it's not as bad as I'm making it seem sometimes,
Right.
So that's kind of my thing, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's working for you.
Yeah.
You're here and you're doing it. And I mean, you're not just dealing with, life. I mean, you're a mom too. I have a lot of respect for moms.
Yeah.
Everything you have to deal with, man.
Yeah, I don't know that I could do that.
This world is better because
And
we have you
I
guys.
joined PTA at my daughter's school this year.
Nice.
How's that going?
It's interesting. I kind of just got into it because I was so sick of being at home and I was like finally starting to feel a little bit better, but I couldn't be, fully committed to like a job yet. And I couldn't, I still have a lot going on. So, I started it just kind of in that aspect. And now I've met everybody there is great, but there's someone in particular that we connected right away. And she's very much an energy person and she's very positive and outgoing. And so we connected. And so now last PTA meeting, I was like, okay, well, this is a lot. We had to do boo at the school and I had to get this done. And I'm going to go in today. I'm going to tell them that I can't do as much. And then I went in and I left. I think I'm on yearbook committee too. Or something. I'm like, well, I'm going to school for editing and I'm learning that stuff. And they're like, so you can be on the yearbook committee? I'm like, no, wait, no. That's not what I said. Just send me some stuff and I'll edit a little bit of it. That's all. So it's, it definitely keeps me busy.
Now that we're talking about your kids, I know you talked about how early on you didn't want them to be exposed to what you were going through. How has that changed now? Have you talked with them?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have, we talked about it in the beginning when everything was kind of happening, and then I was sick, and then now we're all, we're all under the same roof, and when they lowered my dose, they decided to up it again, not too long ago, and I did get sick for a few days. And so that was the first time they had really seen me sick like that. I tried really hard to not show it as much, so I kind of stayed in my own little zone. And then I got real emotional and I just started bawling. And then of course, you can't hide that too much. So I just kind of talked with them a little bit about it and just told them that this is how things happen. And I don't know why sometimes I just cry. And, at moments like that, I like to just be alone and get that out of the way because I just don't want to, once the energy thing, I'm not trying to put that on anybody. And then I'm reminded from them that, we're all in this together and it's not that I'm putting anything on anybody, that they want to be there for me. And sometimes I kind of shut that out. And I think it's just, it's me trying to protect that, but I also now am like, this is how it is. And we still push through and, mommy still pushes through. And if you're faced with challenges, you have to do the same thing. Like things, you can't just stop and give up. You have to. So now that's my goal, is to just make sure that they know, no matter what, that we do the best we can and we can only do what we can do. And to keep pushing. And if they ever need to talk or anything about it, then they will. But now things have just kind of, I just tried to get us back on a routine like we were in, every other year for school and things like that. And, sometimes I keep a little bit of the pain and the things I'm going through to myself, and I don't maybe show it as much. But yeah, I think everybody's at a place now where it's understood and all the tough part is kind of behind us. So now we just kind of go about our daily lives.
That's great.
Yeah. That is great. Only other question I have to ask. And, the good thing is this is recorded, so you could totally just be like, I don't want to answer that. And we'll just swoop it out, right? But, where you at now? I know you've been doing treatment. It hasn't even been a year, right?
It hasn't,
So
no.
has there been any progress with your condition?
So I am, so far so good. Nothing has shown to, there's no new cancer. There's nothing new being seen. I do a CAT scan once every few months. I go for a checkup once every 3 to 4 weeks. And with that, I have to do blood work. I do an ultrasound on my heart because this medicine messes with the muscles and joints. And then I do an EKG. And then, let's see, ultrasound on the heart, EKG, blood work. And that's usually all I do at my checkups. But in the meantime, in between, like, I was having some problem with my right eye for a little while. So I had to get that checked. It messes with your liver and your kidneys. So I feel like I'm constantly being checked. But they say, you're healthy. You just got cancer. Which it just blows my mind when they say it like that. But so far, so good. Everything's good so far. Good. No, nothing new at the moment. And we're going to keep it that way.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? You're doing a lot of, things. I don't know much about what you're going through, but, just listening to you, I think that you're doing a really, really great job of, just finding out how to carry this, and live with it until at some point, which it'll be gone.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And so, I just think you're, incredibly brave. I am so inspired by you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're a pretty amazing, person.
Thank you.
Because I don't know that I'd have what it takes to be like you are,
Yeah. It's very inspiring. And I love how you reached out, I mean, we went out there, we talked about 40 people and, you were one of the ones that was like, hey, I would like
I went on Instagram right away. I was like, I need to get linked up with them. I feel there's a vibe. There's something cool there and I really like it. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll find you.
I'll find you.
And we're so glad that you did.
Oh yeah.
This is great. And I thought it was a perfect opportunity because I wanted to know more about you, and now I do. Because we wanted to meet anyway.
Yeah.
And so this is just part of how we're gonna get to know each other. Is there anything you would like to say, kind of in closing? I do have a question though.
Okay.
If someone's listening to this and maybe they're just at those beginning stages, they've heard from their doctor or, something similar to, how you discovered that you had cancer. If someone is in that space, what would you say to them? Any, words of wisdom or what kind of soothing words can you offer?
Oh, man. It's definitely a tough place to be in the mindset when you find out something like that. I would say talk about it. Talk about it. Definitely don't hold in any emotions or feelings. If you feel like you need to just cry, you need to just cry. You need to let it out. Definitely find somebody to console and talk with that you trust, because that is one thing that helped me. My friend, I talked to him and he dealt with things day in and day out that no one else ever saw. And that was huge for me, to be able to just kind of let it out. I'd say keep your head up. It definitely gets better. Stay strong. Definitely talk about it.
Yeah.
Great. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So there it is.
Yeah.
There it
I think
is.
that's a
There
really,
it is.
And kick ass. You got this.
Talk about it and kick ass. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. That's definitely something that I was very, very impressed about, because not everyone, is brave enough to, take that step.
Yeah.
And I think that it's no mistake that, you're trying to get into the media side of things, because all of these things, all of this experience, everything that you are and that you've been through is really going to, perhaps this is the opportunity to really use it to help, other people.
I believe it is. And I'm so happy I'm where I'm at right now, and just the way that things have unfolded have been great. And I mean, obviously not all of it's been great, but still it's put me into, this chair and where I'm at right now. And 2019 was a little rough, but 2020 is going to be like mic drop.
That's right.
Uh-oh.
2020.
Uh-oh.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, she's just going to mic drop as she steps into 2020. Well, all right then.
It's a whole new decade. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know
I feel this. I agree.
I hope I'm around for some of that.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the case. I think we're going to make a good little team here.
Yeah, we even had like a whole new show idea, which we won't get into.
Yeah.
But there's new stuff on the horizon. It's exciting here at 2teachone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Man, so I'm so glad we had this discussion. I'm so glad I got to know you a little bit better. This is just the beginning. Thanks for sharing your story. You're so very, very generous. I don't know many people who'd be brave enough to just put it all out there.
Yeah.
Well,
it's very unselfish.
I am all about it if it can help somebody or anything like that. And if anybody is going through anything or has questions or just needs someone to talk to, you can definitely message me at my Instagram, Liz Martinez 3890. Or you can message these great guys at 2teachone.com, www.2teachone.com.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. Or you can also reach us at on Facebook or Instagram at TWOTEACHONE. That's at 2teachone.
Yes, never hesitate. I'm always happy to talk to anybody about anything, any questions, if even just a shoulder to cry on. I'm there.
Right on.
Absolutely. Man, thanks again for coming on. I think we'll take this opportunity to close this out.
Yeah.
Again, if you would like to reach out to Liz, go ahead and do so on Instagram, or you can reach us at 2teachone.com. And yeah, until next time, my name is Adrian.
My name's Aaron.
And I'm Liz.
Have a good one.